Doodlebud. Today I'm going to talk about this concept I have called one pen, many nibs. From the moment you got your first one or two fountain pens, you quickly realize there is a lot more to this than you ever imagined. There's no shortage of really cool pens, and for some reason your fingers are now always stained with ink. But if you think a little bit before you buy, you could just pick one pen and turn it into like 8 or 10 or 20 pens. So if you're new to the hobby, you can learn pretty quick. You got to drop all this cash to try all these different pens and nibs and everything. But if you're budget conscious, here's a little topic I'm going to share with you where you can just find one pen you really like and then just buy a bunch of different nibs for it. So I'll take this pen, for example. I'll demo a few others. This is this looks like a Delta Dolce Vitae, but it's not. This is a cheaper version from Marta Modena. It's okay. It's this doesn't replace the multi-$100 version, but I got this for under $100 on a sale and a discount coupon at like a 2 a.m. type of thing. I like the size of it. It looks sharp. Yes, I mean the plating's coming off now, and there's a few little kind of defects and little things with it that are now kind of creeping up, but that's okay. I still enjoy the pen. The size is quite nice. It's got this blind cap, so you can the converter's not in. Try that again. There we go. It's got a blind cap, so you can access the converter from the outside. So that's sort of a neat feature. And, you know, it's a sharp looking pen. I like the looks of it. The build construction's not too bad. Like I said, there's a few things that rattles a little bit. And yeah, it's not quite perfect. But I enjoy the pen. But one of the coolest features about this pen is just how easy the nib and feed come out. It doesn't leak. It does a really good job. But this allows you to make this pen whatever you really want with it. But pretty quick, I realized, wait a second, this can just pop out, and all of a sudden I can take it from a fine, and I can buy a Leonardo 1.1 millimeter stub. Maybe I don't want to feel stubby, so let's get some Architect action. That's what this one was. So this is a Bobby Architect nib. It's a fine Architect nib. You can buy it on eBay and Etsy. I'll for the things I'm going to talk about, I'll try to leave links in the descriptions. So same thing, you can go from a 1.1 stub to an Architect. You just pop it out, put it in, away you go, you're ready to go. You've heard all this stuff about this nib here, if I can grab it. The bent up nib, the Fude, that sounds too fancy for it, but maybe that's how you pronounce it, or Fude, or Fuddy, whatever you want to call this thing. And you're thinking about it because it gets a lot of popularity, and you go, well, I don't want to get a whole new pen, and maybe you find a pen you're thinking of getting and it's $40 for it. You can just buy the nib for like $5, swap it on there, put it on the pen, try it out, and then find out real quick, and in my case, not so much for me. You can really do whatever you want. So this is a great way to save a lot of money when it comes to buying fountain pens. Maybe for you, you've settled in on one brand or even one pen. You just love Lamy Safaris, Lamy All-Stars. You got to have all the colors, all the special releases, special editions. You match the color to go with your clothes. You're just in love with this pen so much. Cool thing with the Lamys is there's lots of nib options, extra fines, all the way up to stubs. The standard ones, of course, just come with steel nibs, but maybe you just go, this is such a great pen, but I would love it with the gold nib. I just got to do it. So you can just pop it off, spend a couple bucks, and you pick up the gold nib, and it just slips on there. You love a medium, so you pick up a medium gold nib, and you try it out, and you fall in love all over again with the pen, and then you go, wait a second, what could be better? Maybe I get... Oh, look at that. They have a blackout color one. Instead of the two-tone there, they do it with the black color. And so now you have an extra fine, and you like it for your fine writing, but you get a crazy idea and grind it to an extra fine Architect. Now you have the most custom of all custom Lamy Safaris All-Stars that no one can get, and it's just yours. You can even do this with like a custom handmade pen. So here's a Ranga model 9C or 9B. I always forget which one it is. But here you go, beautiful pen. They got so many different acrylics or ebonites you can fully customize. Okay, great. It's just got like that less than one turn. It opens up, and then you can choose what nib you want in there. So in this case, I went with Schmidt because I have some other Schmidt nibs. You can do them with Bach or Jovo, whatever you want to do. And then you can just pop it off. So maybe you're the accountant by day and you use a fine nib for your fine printing, or you're a bookkeeper, pretty, you just like a fountain pen, but you got to have a regular fine tip nib. That's your Monday through Friday. But come the weekend, it's party time and you bust out your oblique nibs. So off with the standard fine and you slip on that oblique medium that you custom ground and you practice your cursive. But then it's such a great weekend, you go, what the hell? Let's put on the oblique broad, and I'm going to do some writing samples and practice my cursive, maybe write a love letter. So with a lot less money, you can just buy 1 or 2 pens, get a couple that you like, and if you just kind of plan ahead before the impulse buy, you can pick with a nib style or brand or whatever, and just really open it up. You can get quite a diverse collection of pens and still be budget friendly. You can just get one pen, maybe one good pen. Maybe it's only $30, or maybe you step it up around $100 or more, or whatever. And then you can just buy a whole bunch of nibs for them. You can get them custom ground. You can find them online sometimes. Like I said, I'll leave a link on the bottom. This thing was only, I think, 15, maybe 16 Canadian dollars for a fine Architect. So, you might not be able to grind your own nibs. That's most people. You can just go online and there's people that sell them. You can get them cursive, italics, all that sort of stuff. So maybe sometimes they're only $3 just for a basic nib, but you can even get custom ones. I think this Fude Nib was, I don't know, maybe $4 or $5 or something like that. So you can get a lot of bang for your buck. You can be into it for maybe $100 with a $40 pen, a nice quality pen, something like that. Spend the rest, maybe another $40-$50 on a bunch of nib options, and you just got a crazy set from 1 or 2 pens, and you got tons of options, lots of writing experiences. Change up your writing, change up your printing, and still be budget friendly. I promised you I'd do some writing samples, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to use these 3 pens. Oh, not this one here, but I'll do these 3 here, the Ranga, the Marta Modena, and the Lamy. With all the nibs, I'll put it all into one page, and you can see you can just pick 1 or 2 pens, buy a bunch of extra nibs, and you got all your bases covered for all the different nib styles and that you can possibly choose. So no less than 13 writing samples in total. Let's go through them. Yeah, this took a few minutes. Anyways, so this number 6 nib on the Marta Modena, I have one that's like a medium or medium fine. I kind of messed around with it to smooth it out a little bit. That looks not too bad there. Then we also just got the regular fine nib, and there you go. Now we want to tune it up to a fine Architect, so you can see the difference between the regular fine and the fine Architect. We got the thicker cross strokes, as you can see. Then we got a medium cursive italic. This one I had to flush it out a little bit better. I should have taken a little more time on that to get it, but it was running a little bit dry. But you can see it's got those super crisp edges, still giving you some really nice line variation. Then we got the 1.1 millimeter stub. You can see what that does to your writing. We got the flex nib. Throw that on there. Now you got some flex with your pen, and you can see why the Fude, the Fud, just not my cup of tea. Lots of line variation, but when it comes to printing and writing, it looks god awful. I can understand maybe if you're in art and you got to fill in some shapes with a lot of ink quickly, you can draw fine lines and then blast the ink in there. Or if you're marking papers and you want to underline their typos, just whoosh, do that. That works well. But for me, I'm glad I only spent $4 to figure out if I like that nib or not, and it turns out not. Let's move down to the lamy. So we got the gold extra fine Architect nib. You can see again line variation, the thicker cross strokes, thinner down strokes, but again it's an extra fine, so you'll only get so much line variation there. Then we got the standard medium steel nib, and you can see the gold nib, just how much more wet this is. So if you want to try that out, maybe you should get the fine gold nib, just so you can see the massive difference. Although this medium is a little bit thinner, it's not I think it's off a little bit for a lamy. Then down here on the Schmidt, again a standard fine. You can see how much more fine that is from the other nib I was using. Then we got the medium, the oblique medium grind I did there, and then an oblique broad to top it off. So you can see just quite a difference. We got 13 different samples here, and you could do this all really with just, you could pick your poison. You could just pick you know, a regular standard number 6. You could do this with lamys. You could do this with just Schmitz, with Jovos, with box, whatever you want to do. There's titanium nibs. There's all sorts of stuff going on. But yeah, you could just pick 1 or 2 or 3 pens that you really like. Just get the collection down a little bit. Just spend a few bucks extra on nibs. You can just do a lot of this with just steel, obviously. You don't have to go gold. That's quite expensive. And then now you got one pen that could have many nibs, tons of writing options, and you don't feel like you're missing out so much. Hope that helped you out. I got some cleaning to do. That took a little bit. I was smart. I put a glove on partway through, but my hands are pretty nasty. Got to clean out these pens, clean out these nibs. As always, thanks for watching. Leave some comments below. Subscribe if you haven't. That took a lot of work. Come on, give me a sub, and we'll catch you next time.